Thank you very much. Welcome Bill Hartwell back to the stage.
Unlike many of you, I never actually met Steve Goodman, but I came real close, and again, Clay's book brought this out real good. It was at this Mariposa Folk Festival in 1974. For those of you who haven't read the book or haven't been to the Mariposa Folk Festival, it's on an island off the shore of Toronto. You hop on a ferry and you go out there. And it's a beautiful park-like garden setting. It was a gorgeous summer day, and I was standing there with my buddy. I was about 18 years old or so. And I see this guy walking across the grass with a guitar over his shoulder. And, hey, that's Steve. He's all by himself, no entourage or anything. So this is like my Elvis walking across the grass there. He walks over to this little booth they had set up there that you sold things that you'd buy at a 70s folk festival, you know, tie-dye shirts, macrame plant hangers or something, rolling papers, all the important stuff, you know. But being a music festival, I think they also sold guitar strings. And as far as I could tell, this is what Steve got when he was over there. He picks up these guitar strings, and he comes over and he sits down underneath this tree about 20 feet from where I'm standing and starts changing the strings on his guitar. And I wish this was the point of the story, but I could tell you I walked over and stuck out my hand and looked him in the eye just like my dad taught me and said, Steve, my name is Bill Hartwell, and I'm a big fan. Your music means a lot to me. It's done a lot for me, but I didn't do that. I was just kind of a shy 18-year-old kid. And I stood there and pretended like I wasn't staring at him, but I was doing a lot of these, you know, while he was changing the strings. But after about probably less than a minute or so, as Steve can do, he attracted a crowd, and there were about 6 or 7 people that came over and sat down underneath this tree with Steve. And so now it was safe for me to go over, so I kind of sidled on over and joined this little group. And for the next 15 minutes or so, we sat there and watched Steve Goodman change the strings on his guitar. But it was cool because in between, he'd change a couple strings and tune them up, and then he'd break into a couple songs. And it was great because I'd heard all his songs and all his albums, but he played songs that I had never heard before. And so everybody knows Steve was kind of like an encyclopedia of music. So, you know that old 40s swing thing from so-and-so? Oh yeah, it goes like this, right? And he'd break into that. Or that old blues thing. He'd break into that. If he knew the words, he'd sing them. If he didn't, he'd make up some words, and they're just as good as the real ones. But it struck me as an 18-year-old kid sitting there that there was something special about him because, and this is the only word I could come up with to explain it. He just had this sense of joy about him, this sense of happiness that right there at that particular point in time was right where he wanted to be, and it kind of rubbed off on everybody. It came out in the music, and it really struck me as a young 18-year-old kid. So he finished changing the strings, and I got to get back to work. You know, so he goes back, and about 20, 30 minutes later, he's up on the main stage in front of the whole crowd, and he had that same sense of joy, that magic that he had. Within a song, he had the whole crowd in the palm of his hand. I just felt privileged I was able to get that close to it underneath that tree in Toronto, Canada. So I had to write this tribute song. Steve Goodman, the best friend I never knew. Well, I never had a chance to shake his hand or throw my arm around his neck. Or buy a beer or dinner and say, no, that's okay, I've got the check. I never helped him move like good friends always do, but he would always pick me up when I was blue. In good times or in bad, he pulled me through. And how I miss the friend I never really knew. Well, I'd only get to see him twice a year. If I was lucky, maybe 3. And we'd all go to see him, but I swear he played his songs up there for me. On stage with his guitar, in those clubs and smoky bars, he'd sing the Dutchman and the Chicken Cordon Blues. And I'd leave with a love of life renewed, and more memories of the friend I never knew. Cast your song upon the water, you'll never know just who you touch. Just a little bit of giving can often mean so much. Well, I still recall the pain I felt the moment that I heard he passed away. Well, I never even knew that he'd been sick all those times I'd seen him play. Memory lives on every time I hear those songs, and his words so simple and so true. Find the joy in everything you do. That's what I learned from the friend I never knew. Find the joy in everything you do. That's what I learned from the friend I never really knew.